I call the Wednesday, March 15th, 2023 Land and Facility Management Committee meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Rod DeFranis.
Here.
Tina Babin. Here. Jamie Marlborough. I'm here.
All right. Good. Item 2, Grove Flores Proprietary, Mr. Andy, to receive a report from Mr. Andy on Thibodeau Middle School.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Just a quick recap at Thibodeau Middle School. There's no change order for discussion tonight, thankfully, but just a quick recap. Current contract sum is just over $28.7 million. Of that, they have completed a little over 77% of the project, so based on their pay applications, comparing that to the overall number. From a contract time standpoint, we're roughly a little over 53% through with the contract time. This past month, there's been a lot of activity, a lot of people out there continuing with metal stud installation, sheetrock. They are painting the 2 classroom wings on the ground floor, classroom wing on the second floor, and the admin area right now. They're installing ceiling grids in those areas that I just mentioned. They're also painting the main corridor too, by the way. They've also started dropping in light fixtures in the 2 ground floor classroom wings. So they're continuing basically from the East Thibodeau Middle School side, working their way toward West Thibodeau. So we had our monthly meeting yesterday. Ms. LaFawn was there. As of right now, the contractor is still on schedule to turn over all 3 classroom wings in the administrative area to begin move-in the first week of June. So that's still on track. Looking forward ahead to April a little bit. Well, back up. We did have one big milestone yesterday. We got permanent power turned on to the transformer that's at the back of the building. So that's a big milestone in there too. So Energy was on site and completed that yesterday. We're looking forward to April a little bit. They'll be starting to install flooring. They'll start to fire up a few of the HVAC units. And they will also continue with the painting, the ceiling tile, canopy installation, things like that. So a lot has happened. The pace seems to be picking up a little bit and really starting to look good out there. So take any questions at this time.
What is our completion date looking like? We're going to open for school, right? When school starts. Okay, as I was at the track meet down the bayou earlier, and I had some parents and students from some of our Thibodeau middle schools saying they do not believe that we are going to be opening for when school starts. And I go, I believe we are. And I just wanted to clear up that rumor that we're on track and we're good.
So if you go to the site, and I mean, Andy's been there a lot, there's a beehive of people there every day. If you were building a house and it looked like that, would you be in it by July? Probably not. But on the commercial side, I mean, I asked this question to the general contractor, Andy, when we were just there last week. He's got enough people to get this thing done. That first week in June is when we're going to start moving desks into the building.
Yeah, I just wanted rumor control.
Yep.
I figured we were on track, and that's where it was. So
now, I do want to say that some things that will be confusing when you look at substantial completion of the entire project. It's not for another year. That's because part of this project is also the demolition of the east and west sites. Okay. And I'm still being asked by a number of folks, what are y'all doing with the old buildings? They're going to be raised. Okay. It will be green space. They're all coming down. Is the plan to that.
Yeah, and just to add to that a little bit, if I could, that's part of the reason why the contract is working from the 2 classroom wings going toward the gymnasium so that the classroom wings can be turned over, administration can be turned over. Very shortly after that, the cafeteria and kitchen will be turned over, and by that I mean for move-in purposes. So there's a method to the madness right now, and so far I think everybody's on the same page. So hopefully, did that answer your question? Yeah,
you did. It was something, parents were saying, kids were saying that we're from the Thibodeau area, so I wanted to make sure we cleared that. I knew we were on track, but yeah.
And look, just for everybody's sake, there will be some work even after you move in. There'll be some little minor things that have to get done, right? It might be, there will be a little section of parking on the West Thibodeau side that can't get poured yet because there's a building sitting on that path. So there'll still be some of that unfinished business, but
no, it was. Are they going to be in the classroom for school starting? That's what I was they were saying, I don't believe so, but now I got the proper word from y'all. So.
Anything else? Any other questions, concerns? Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 3, to receive a report from either Mr. David, Mr. Justin, I do see Mr. Skipper Holloway here. I've got the whole corporation here, on security phase 6.
That's me.
Gentlemen, y'all have the floor.
I won this one.
Okay, you want that one. Excellent.
Good evening. Well, the project is moving forward and so far forward that it should probably be complete by now, but the contractor has been holding off because they're waiting for some work to be completed by the school board's security contractor. I spoke with Jared Bro this morning, and I've also been talking with Mr. Sheremy about some other items, but the security contractors began working at 6th Ward Middle, and they're just about complete there, getting the access control activated for the doors that are in place. The next site they're going to move to is Bayou Blue, and when that one's complete, they'll move to LCO. Jared expects that they'll be complete within about 2 weeks. Once that work is complete, the contractor can ask for the fire marshal inspections, and at that point, we'll be complete with the majority of the project. But remember, about 2 months ago, we had a change order adding a canopy at LCO Middle. That material is just beginning to become available. They don't have it all stockpiled yet. They've already done all the foundation work preparing for it. But they want to hold off until they don't affect the children, because that's a very highly used walkway between the two buildings. So they're thinking that it may not be until May until they can actually install that canopy. So we all agreed when we signed the change order that that would not affect substantial completion. And I think once we have our fire marshal inspection, we can grant that, but they will still have work to do on this job. So, but they are moving forward as much as possible. There is a second change order that was requested. It hasn't been agreed to yet, but Mr. Sheremy has been working with us, trying to look at some ways to save some money on the original proposal. So I've spoken with Thompson. They're in agreement that the things that were brought up could occur. So they're going to check with their subs and revise that proposal and resubmit it to me. So when I get that revised submittal, we'll be able to speak with Jared and Mr. Sheremy about it.
Any questions, concerns? All right, we appreciate your report.
Thank you.
All right, item 4, to receive a report from Mr. Daniel Bruce on the Golden Meadow Lower Elementary School.
Good evening, everyone. The contractor has installed every piece of equipment that they've received to the job site. We have a new scheduled ship date of March 16th, which is tomorrow. So I don't have any update on the rest of the equipment that's supposed to be shipped. So we did tell them that they had the extra 150 days as of last month. So we'll continue to monitor that situation and report to the board as required.
Questions, concerns?
Thank you, Ms. Cross.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Combs.
Okay. All right,
That's it.
that's it. Thank you, sir. All right, item 5, to receive a report from Mr. Bob Bernard on All South Consulting on Hurricane Ida damages. Mr. Bob, you have the floor.
Thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
All right, Ashley, we're going to jump to the pictures, if you would, in the back. Add pictures this time. We're going to start adding some slides. A lot of the projects is not a lot to see, but this one we're going to start doing a few things on certain projects where we have pictures that will show you representation of what's going on. So this is Central Lafourche softball field. I know all y'all don't get out there to see this, but this is work that was done prior to completion, but you can get an idea that the bottom picture all the way to the right is where everything is completed. Bleachers are in, lights were working, fencing up, so came out really nice. The fourth picture, bottom, all the way to the left, is an opening right there. That's where the future, hopefully, concession stand will be located. And that's what we're still trying to work out with FEMA as far as the funding for that. It's a little complicated, so we decided, and talking to the superintendent, it was best to wait for FEMA approval because of the cost difference compared to what was there to what we're having to replace due to being in a floodplain and wind rated. So a lot of work that's going to be involved in that. Okay. Next slide. That's South Lafourche softball. Yeah. Excuse me. Okay. This is South Lafourche High School baseball field. This is a good picture. The next one won't look so good, but I'll explain why. This is a project that we had issues with the sleeves, and they had to modify the post. If y'all remember, they did a great job with that. You can see the posts, although the picture is deceiving, but they are straight, and they look really good. So they did a great job in saving the foundation where we didn't have to pull it up. So the repairs were made, and you can see the work that had been done in that area. Next slide. Okay, that's the not so good. We also mentioned that they had issues with that foundation, if you recall from the last time we met. And instead of pulling everything up, the engineer came up with a design to add just a bigger concrete footing around the existing foundation. So that picture is shown where they dug it out to a depth of 1 foot, 8 foot by 8 foot. And since then, this week, they poured the concrete back. Now, I don't have pictures of that, but it looks much better today than that looks right now. So when it's all said and done, by the end of this week, it's going to look like the previous picture, right? So that's been taken care of. Okay. South Lafourche High School, just progress pictures of the siding that they're putting up on the competition gyms and the second-story classroom building. South Lafourche High School is tracking, like always, good. We had great weather, so roof work is progressing. I believe substantial completion. We're shooting for May 1st. Yeah. For May 1st, the building will be substantially complete. And then we're going to start rolling into the interior repairs. I believe the pre-con meeting for that is in 2 weeks, March 28th, with Thompson Construction to start looking at interior repairs at that facility. Okay, I guess we'll continue with the pictures. All right, Central Lafourche baseball. First picture is a issue that we have with the right field foundation pole. Somehow that got missed in the original assessment. And below that picture is the fencing that was also damaged by storm that got missed, but that's being issued as a change order. I believe it may be in tonight's agenda to have that repaired and put back. Picture bottom middle shows, I guess, pretty much a completed field. We don't have the bleachers in yet. That's going to be discussed also later, but they're playing ball there. Field looks great, and big win the other night for Central Lafourche. Great game, I heard. Whoever was there.
Not if you're me, but it was a hard-fought game for sure.
Good game.
South They played South.
Oh, I know they did. That's why I was careful what I was saying. Depending on which side you're on,
Bunch
right?
of extra innings.
Yeah, somebody's got to be happy. 10-inning game. Yeah, good game, I heard. Anyway, let's see. Do we have more? What is this one? Is that it on the pictures? Okay, let's keep rolling with the pictures. And that is, thank you, Bayou Blue. Work in progress at Bayou Blue, decking for the roof. Trusses are going up. All the block work is complete. Yeah, block work is complete. Waiting on brick veneer to come in. There's a little lead time with that. That may be delayed as far as the brick veneer, but that won't affect anything happening, obviously, with the roofing and the interior. So work is progressing quite well at Bayou Blue. And finally, North LaRose, wood truss on site, and contractors should be starting that work soon, if not this week, next week. I believe we have our site meeting there next week, OAC meeting, to discuss with the contractor scheduling. This is tricky because you got a roof that has to be replaced with truss, but at the same time, you have to keep the building semi-dried in. So it's going to be a bit of a challenge. We know we have a mechanical room that's going to be affected by that, so we're keeping close tabs on making sure that stays dried in. I believe that's it on the pictures. Okay. All right, just going back through this real quick, LCO. Work is progressing. The completion date for LCO for the roofing will be pushed back to around June, and that's because of delays in material. But in the meantime, he's going to have it dried in before that date, like we did at South Lafourche. So he'll be, pulling off cap sheets and then putting on the first ply to get the building dried in. So that won't impede us starting with interior repairs, which that bid is going out in, I think we're bidding that in April. So there'll be a little bit of overlap while they're still doing roofs, and we're going to start interiors, but the roofs will be dried in. Go to middle. Ashley, if you go to the schedule, right there. Okay, so go to middle. Superintendent asked a couple of weeks ago that we put together a master schedule to give everyone an idea on how this is progressing, right? Go to middle and Bayou Buff. Obviously, these are the FEMA projects that is taking the time and will continue to take time. So we put this together as a snapshot of where this is going in the next 2 years. So the first is Bayou Buff. Go to middle is the second schedule. Now, let's see if I can read that from here. FEMA review is a big one, right? Where, let's see, go down a little bit lower, right down, yeah. FEMA, thank you. The FEMA review process is from May to October this year. I guess I should have put that in red, because that's going to be the big unknown, right? That really drives the ship as far as, getting this thing designed and then under construction. But assuming 6 months, for FEMA to review it and then obligate the money, basically telling the district, we're approving it, we're going to give you this amount of money, you can go forward. Design would start. This one, we have a 6-month design schedule with construction starting after that, with about a 14-month construction schedule. The way it works out would be a completion date of June 21st, which would be great, because that would get you into school for August of 2025. Yeah, August of 2025. So about a 2-year process. This is best case. Okay. Again, the big unknown is that FEMA process, right? Right? Go to middle. Any questions on this one? Roof repairs, we talked about that. Talked to designer today. He's on track to have bidding for the roof repairs sometimes in June. So get the permanent roofs on until we're ready to start interiors and the new construction. Hopefully the new construction of building 6, right? That's what's under review. Not 6, 3. Building 3. All right. Bayou Buff Elementary, we can go back to that same schedule, Ashley, that we were at earlier. Bayou Buff, you can see tracks out a little further. It's a more complicated site. Obviously, there are more buildings. Same review process for FEMA. The difference is the design phase is going to be longer because there are more buildings and more to do, about a 10-month design period, and then construction we have at 18 months. And that pushes that project out to February 17th, 2026. So probably wouldn't move into that building until August of 2026. Okay. Temporary campus at Old Jack Bay. This is probably the last time we'll talk about this one. Building 5. I believe I mentioned this last time, but it's going to be the band building, right? We're not going to tear it down. Good news is we have the proper electricity to that building. The panel it's being fed from is not the one coming from building 4. So that's been addressed. And we won't have to do anything with the electrical for that building. So that's the good news. We do have a little remediation work we have to do, and a couple of windows that are broken that we're gonna be changing out. That's gonna be done during the summer. But Building 5 is being used as the band building. So principal is very happy about that. Okay. Last is, I guess, the upcoming bids. March, we had a bid opening, Cutoff Elementary, and we're going to cover this as a recommendation to award Cutoff Elementary. This is the first, I guess, big shock we got as far as the bidding part. The budget was at right at $400,000. The bids came in, the low bid came in at $701,000. So a combination, mainly market conditions, is what's driving this. And talking to the low bidder, he expressed that we're seeing a flooded market. Plates are getting full, and that's reflected in the pricing. We had 5 bids on this particular project, so it satisfies FEMA as far as accepting it. It went from 700, another one at 7 something, and then we had 3 in the 900. So hopefully this trend doesn't continue. But the good news is we're getting close to wrapping up bidding. And then a couple more this month, and then you can see April LCO, which is a big one. And then in May, the biggest one we have in May would be Central Lafourche, which is the roof repairs at Central. The rest in that time period of this, minor projects. In fact, number 7 has about 10 projects in it we're going to put out as one bid. It's just minor work at 10 different schools. Okay, there are no questions.
So the roof repair at Central, is that gonna cover the leak over the stage and the auditorium? And then I just want to say thank you for taking the time to put those photos up there. You just made our meeting more interesting. And it was really nice. And I did see the fields at South Lafourche today. They look really good. And it was an enjoyable experience. It was a good job. Thank you. And I almost started crying when you showed pictures of North LaRose, because I could only imagine how happy that staff is, because it's been a while that they've been doing more with less. And I know how damaged that building was because Mr. Martin had taken me to see it. So
yeah, that's pretty bad when they're out of a lot of classrooms at that building. So yeah, that work is good getting it done. Okay. And we'll do more pictures. We'll continue that. Again, there's nothing to show. Some of these projects, there's really not a lot to see. But once we can, we'll pictures on. Okay.
Any questions? Thank you, Mr.
so
Bob.
Thank you.
Moving on to new business. Item 8, to receive bids for the Hurricane Ida repairs to Cutoff Elementary.
Yes, and this is the bid that Bob referred to just a few minutes ago, which was over budget, but in line with the competing bids. So the recommendation is to accept the low bid from Tosh in the amount of $701,000 for Hurricane Ida repairs to Cutoff Elementary. And that includes a base bid of $644,000 and alternate number 1 bid of $57,000, totaling to $701,000.
I need a motion. Do that. A second. Mr. Morgan. All right. Do I have any discussion from the general public? Ms. Marion? No? Any from the board? Any questions, concerns? All right, if none, we'll vote. Motion approved. Item B, to consider a change order request for W.S. LaFar Elementary School Building 14.
Yes, and this change order is in relation to repairs, permanent repairs there due to Hurricane Ida. The recommended action is to accept a change order request for W.S. LaFalle Elementary School to add $7,221.04 to remove 1,127 square feet of existing VCT flooring and replace it with new LVT flooring in building number 14.
Need a motion, please? Ms. Jamie? Ms. Tina will be second. Any discussion from the public? Discussion from the board?
So this flooring is like what we talked about when we toured some of the schools that was being removed and being replaced. I want to make sure I'm understanding it's like the same concept.
Almost every time you see this LVT, this luxury vinyl tile flooring. And so VCT is not the luxury vinyl tile. VCT is the problem tile. If any moisture gets below it, it pops up. And we're replacing it with the same kind of vinyl tile that was on the property. Moisture.
Yeah.
Moisture causes VCT to crumble and pop up.
Any other questions or concerns? None, please vote. Motion is approved. Move on to item number C, to consider a change order request for W.S. LaFalle Elementary School Buildings 2 and 3.
Yes, and on this one, the recommended action is to accept a change order request for W.S. LaFalle Elementary to add $10,861.18 to the contract for removing and replacing damaged VCT tiles and rubber base in portable buildings 2 and 3.
We have a motion. Tina, first. Second, Ms. Jamie. Any public comment? Any board comment? None, please vote. Motion is approved. Item D, to consider a change order request for Golden Meadow Upper Elementary School.
This request is to move furniture that exists currently in the library. This is all in relation to Hurricane Ida. And the recommended action is to accept a change order request for Golden Meadow Upper Elementary School to move existing furniture in the library for the amount of $2,000 in order to remove and replace the flooring.
Need a motion, please? Ms. Tina? And a second by Mrs. Jamie. Okay, any comments, concerns, board, public? If none, please vote. Item is approved. Item E, to consider a change order request for South Lafourche High School.
Yes, here our action is to accept a change order request for South Lafourche High School to add 32 days to the contract due to builder's risk policy limitation on work that could not be performed during hurricane season from June 1st, 2022 to November 1st, 2022. And this will move the substantial completion date to April 30th, 2023.
Motion, please. Jamie, first, second, Tina. Any questions or concerns? Yes.
Yeah, so I understand the rain delays, I understand this, but so like their risk policy is saying during our hurricane season, they just can't get on a roof or something of that nature. I'm not saying it specifically that, but it has limitations within it.
I answer your question.
Bruce, you have the floor.
So it's okay, in this instance, so when we bid South Lafourche High School, there were issues with obtaining a builder's risk policy. For them to be able to bind coverage for South Lafourche High School, for them to be able to begin work on the two the competition gym and the auxiliary gym, insurance carrier basically said, we'll give you coverage, but you can't do any other work. And their contract time started, so, but by terms of the builder's risk policy, they couldn't do any other work on the remaining part of the building until November 1st. That was the only way they'd bind coverage for builder's risk at the beginning of the project.
And correct me, right, if I understand it. As soon as he touched it and his builder's risk insurance takes effect, it would have been the liability of that insurance carrier should a hurricane come while he's mid-construction and damage would have occurred.
Right.
So they wanted to hold off
So they-
until November first to make sure that their risk is minimized because hurricane season is over, which delayed the
Correct.
project. Correct?
Correct. They were trying to mitigate insurance. They want to try to mitigate their risk over that first hurricane season.
So, very good. Okay. Any other questions for Mr. Bruce while he's up here? All right, if not, please vote.
Yeah, you did.
Yes, you did. Please vote. Passes. Item F, to consider a change order request for Thibodeau High School.
Yes, this request involves, the roof system work. And the recommended action is to accept a change order request for Thibodeau High School to add $67,241 and 20 additional days to the contract for changing the roof system due to unforeseen conditions in the ROTC building.
Motion, please. Christina, first, second is Jamie. Any questions for
No, I don't have
either the
any.
gentleman? No, because I do have a question for Mr. LeBon. And we should be asking this, the funding for this project, please.
This is the,
And the cap ply of the roofing membrane. So that coating system would not work, so we had to scratch that. C-Plast offered two types of systems that would work, and it was a choice for the contractor to basically not pick, but price both. And then we took designer decided on taking the least cost option of the two, and that involves putting a new cap sheet on top of that roof, which will give that roof a 20-year warranty, where before you wouldn't have had that. So,
question for you, Bob.
yeah.
On that, is that additional money potentially being reimbursable?
It should be, yes. Because again, we're gonna try to tie this to storm damage, right? Because moisture got under the cap sheet from impact or debris or whatever, and we're gonna paint the picture.
Any more questions? Very, very good discussion.
That was my question. That was my question. Thank you.
Then being, no additional comments or concerns, please vote. Motion approved. Item G, to consider a change order request for Central Lafourche High School athletic field.
Yes, and again, all of this is in relation to Hurricane Ida repairs. The recommended action would be to accept a change order request for Central Lafourche High School to add $31,580.31 to the contract for repairs to the athletic fields. And this represents the total of the following changes. $5,120 to remove and install a new foundation for leaning right field poles at the baseball field. $7,006.20 to install drainage on the field to allow water to drain behind home plate. $3,078.52 to change a damaged light pole. $6,308.60 to change a light pole with a crack discovered during construction. $3,923.66 to remove and replace storm damaged chain link fence in the baseball right field, and $6,143.33 for the new girls softball batting cage net that was damaged by the storm. and those totals make up the $31,580.31 request.
Motion? Amy first, Christina second. Any discussion by the general public? Anybody on the board? Good. Good? Good. All right, we're done. I ask everybody vote. Motion passes. Item H, to consider a change order request for TIP Central.
Yes, this is for the purpose of providing storage for items that are currently in the classroom while the interior work of that classroom is being done. The recommended action is to consider a change order request for TIP Central to add $10,128.07 for the purpose of renting a storage container to store all items from inside the classroom while the interior work is being completed.
Motion, please. Ms. Jamie, first, second, Ms. Tina. Any discussion? Hey, Ms. Marion.
TIP, I thought it was a typo when I first saw it. What is TIP?
Therapeutic and Intervention Programming behind Central Lafourche, the little brick building at the end of the road down there where our most at-risk units receive nearly one-on-one interventions with our PAC staff.
Well, it was top. I went, oh,
We have both.
I knew that, but I didn't know what TIP was.
I do have a question. I know that, I see the cost for the rental, but do we know exactly how long we're renting this for?
Well, believe it's the monthly rate, because that's gonna be done for the abatement portion of it and the flooring. But we have the backup documentation to do that.
It just lists the total though, it doesn't give me a time frame. Oh, yes, it does. Rent container on the third page, rent container, 4 months.
So we should be good, or Mr. Martin's, yes, that should be good.
Like, for the work they need to do, that would be, that's why they did the 4 months, based on their schedule to get that part of the work done.
All right, any other discussion? If not, I should have voted, please. Item approved. Item I, to consider a change order request for Central Lafourche High School baseball field.
Yes, indeed, the action to consider is a change order request for Central Lafourche High School to add $105,454.18 to elevate the baseball field bleachers approximately 3 feet and to add 3 days in contract time.
Christina first, and second. Any discussion? Nope. Who's that? Yeah, question also. Is this a FEMA requirement?
And we touched on this last month, so, trying to make a long story short. To answer your question, it should be yes. Okay, and again, caveat, it should be. Like everything we're dealing with FEMA, there's no definites until they approve it. But based on what was there before, which was an elevated bleacher that got taken out, what we're putting back will be an elevated bleacher. Now, the reason the change order comes in is because this project was redesigned at conception. Because of talking to the folks at Central Lafourche, they were looking at a press box concession stand behind home plate where before you had bleachers. So that configuration was put in, bleachers were moved to either side, down third and first base line. So during that process, the whole design got changed. The bleachers were not elevated, designer put them at ground level, which is pretty typical. No one really questioned that at the time. The concept of the press box and concession behind home plate got scratched because of the cost. So the plan then became, let's go back to original, keep the concession where it is, it wasn't damaged, and we're gonna replace it with a new press box behind the bleachers, the way they were originally done. Now, we couldn't put it back exactly the way it was originally done because first it was a custom type design. If you remember, or if you knew Central Lafourche, it was continuous. It was kind of wrap around, but it was all one, right? When the concept changed, we got two sets of bleachers that were not configured to be one. So the designer then had to work with what he had, put some behind home plate, and then another section down third baseline. Now we're elevating it, right? So change order, you have to get an elevation kit. The bleachers that are there can be used, but we have to get standards to bring it up. That means you also have to have ramps and steps because of ADA access. And that's where, you have a long ramp access. That's 30 feet, 60 feet of ramps. So that's a lot of material. That's why the price is what it is. There were not ramps there before, but it wasn't compliant before. Now you have to be compliant. And again, that's why we're putting ramps that weren't there before. So, long story, that's where we are with the change order.
And if we waited for FEMA to green light this project, we would be waiting some 18 to 24 months
Right.
before we even begun.
Right. And we have a very good argument. In talking with the designer and our FEMA team, we have a good case to make with FEMA. Okay.
Any other comments? If not, we'll have to vote. Motion approved. Item J, to receive a report from lead accountant Shasta Chesson in reference to ongoing project budget.
Good evening. Our major construction fund has two bond referendums. The 2017 bond has a total of $19.2 million. The budgets for these projects are $17.8 million. The actuals and expenditures total $17.2 million, with $579,000 remaining. And we have $1.3 million of undedicated funds for this bond. For the 2021 bond, we have a total referendum of $48.5 million. The budgets total $38.2 million, with actuals and encumbrances totaling $32.2 million. And we have $10.2 million, which are undedicated.
Any questions from Shasta? With none, would you thank you for your report? If there's no other business report, what?
I just want to say, we had great athletes out there at South Lafourche today, and how nice it was to be at South Lafourche with all the work that's been done. And thank you to all these men that answer our questions when we come in every time. And thank our teachers and go out and vote. Let them know we love them.
Any other business? None? I do